If you're going to get into the wine business, you can expect to wait a long time before that first bottle comes off the line. At Ancient Peaks, their vineyards have been getting ready long before humans even existed.
I am a huge fan of oysters on the half shell, and if I'd only been here 7 million years ago, I would have had a feast.
Looks like you got a little oyster on the half shell out here.
Yes, we do. We really do here. You can see these oyster fossils here are 93% calcium, and they make up a big part of these soils that these grapes grow in here. And grapevines really love the calcium. We think it imparts certain characteristics to our grapes, which translates into the bottle.
Now, with all this seafood out here, do you find you're better with the red or a white grape?
You know, Oyster Ridge is really all red grapes right now, and they're doing quite well. And there's nothing wrong with a little Cabernet and an oyster. There's a nice big one. You can imagine how a oyster on the half shell was in those days. It would take a whole family of 4 to eat that one.
7 million years in the making, but the rush is on. It's harvest time, and rain is in the forecast.
Trying to get this Zinfandel off because it's very thin-skinned and it's ready to pick, and each one of these fellas will pick up to a ton a day, and they'll start at 6:30 in the morning and they'll pick right on through till 2:30 or 3, whatever it takes, and they just go all day long to get their ton of grapes, and sometimes a ton and a quarter.
The old seabed is not the only thing at Ancient Peaks that's part of history. If only these walls could talk. Where are these from?
Well, these rocks came locally right from this ranch, and they were built back in the early 1800s, probably 1805 to 1808. And these rocks were dragged right around from this plateau and made mortar out of the oyster shell formation that we have here to make limestone mortar so that they could build these walls. Well, this was an assistencia to the mission system. This was a resting area and an overnight stay for them, and had an actual chapel right here where we're sitting.
These beams are obviously new. What are they for?
Well, the beams were here, put in here after 2003. We had a pretty heavy earthquake here in Paso Robles in 2003, and a couple of rocks fell out of the wall, and so this superstructure was put in to hold the weight of the barn off of the walls so that they wouldn't be carrying any of the load should we have another severe earthquake.
Even the vines have a little history behind them.
Yeah, these vines are actually descendants of an old mission vine that we found down in the creek bottom down here that was probably planted by the Padres, or at least a descendant of those. And this was a vineyard historically, maybe 125 years ago. And we have replanted it with these cuttings, made these cuttings, and put this demonstration and a little historical vineyard back in. And we'll be making wine off of these to kind of show the heritage of the mission days gone by.
Any guess what the wine's going to taste like?
Oh, I'm sure it's going to be good.
And now for something a little more recent in history.
Yeah, these cars, if you were a kid in the 50s and 60s, you would have ridden on these train cars down in Disneyland. And fortunately, about 10 years ago, we were able to acquire these cars, and since then we've restored them and built a narrow gauge track here on the ranch.
Hey, for the boomers, this brings back memories.
Yeah, well, it sure does. I certainly remember as a 7 or 8 year old going through Disneyland riding in these cars.
And now, the best part, the wine.
The Zinfandel came off the vineyard we showed you earlier. A lot of folks think Zinfandel is only the white Zinfandel. Mm-hmm. Little do they know what great character we have in our red wines.
They do not know the real Zinfandel. They really don't.
They really don't. And
this is beautiful.
This is truly Paso Robles Zinfandel at its finest right here.
Wow.
Okay, so now we're going to go to our flagship here, the Oyster Ridge Cuvée. Now this is a blend of Cabernet, Petite Syrah, and Zinfandel. It's kind of an unusual blend. But here in Paso Robles, we can do these kinds of blends. We're not stuck in any format. And it's really the best of what we make, and that's combined into this glass of Oyster Ridge.
Can you taste the oysters, though?
Only on the half shell. Yeah. It's got great earth minerality to it. It's got beautiful spice taste to it.
Whoa, 7 million years in the making?
Can you believe it? Yeah.
Oh, I think you got a winner.
Thank you. It's here in the
Cheers.
glass.
Cheers.
Cheers.